Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in. Oh, I'm in a good mood. It is Friday. We're getting ready for the playoffs. The Grizz and the Wolves. We'll go over that. J-Mo and I will sort of pick it apart here in a minute or two. Then Andy Schiffman at 10:45 will get into that and all the games. There are so many good series. I can't wait for Utah and Dallas. I can't wait for Denver and Golden State. Heck, I think Brooklyn-Boston's going to be a great series. I mean, we're talking about some really good things going on. And our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman, will join us at 10:45. Maybe the story that broke late last night, and it comes from the very talented beat writer of the Tigers for the Commercial Appeal. That is Jason Munz, who broke the story. The NCAA appears, because of new legislation that goes into effect in August, it appears to be going away from postseason bans. Aha! That would go a long way at recruiting in the transfer portal. That would go a long way to say to a kid like Kendrick Davis, hey, you can go to the NCAA. That doesn't mean Penny won't get suspended maybe for some games. Maybe that's what the eventual outcome here is. If we look and see precedents, the only case that you can see since this sort of new legislation has come into effect is the IARP decision with NC State, which actually had one more major violation than Memphis did. They got no postseason ban. Now, they did lose their coach, but and I don't think that's happening, nor do I think it should happen with Penny Hardaway. But, man, that's a heck of a story. It is in their new bylaws. It's in their new constitution. They don't want to penalize schools that don't have personnel from the infractions that are still there. Why would you penalize new incoming players? That seems to be the path they're taking, and we'll talk with Jason Munz about that. And he had this 9 out of 10 confidence level that Kendrick Davis, the number one senior grad student transfer, I guess is the best way to put it, transfer in the portal, number one rated transfer in the portal. He's got him as a 9 in confidence level coming to Memphis. We will find out why he joins us in just a little bit.
Can I ask you, what kind of deterrent do you think it would be? Obviously, it's much less of a deterrent, if one at all, without having a postseason ban. What kind of deterrent would a few game suspension be to recruiting, do you think? Do you think that puts you at any kind of disadvantage?
First off, what deterrence do you need now? It's legal to basically pay a player.
Right.
So that punishment, I guess from past transgressions, you would say, well, you got to make an example. There's no more example to be made. So I don't think that is the case. J-Mo, I am in such a good mood today. And I'll tell you why. There are a few reasons. One, it's Friday, right? And we got the Grizz and the Timberwolves in FedEx Forum tomorrow at 2:30. That's going to really be fun to watch. Two, we learned yesterday late, Dick Vitale, cancer-free, 82 years old, and he made it through all of the radiation treatments and everything he had to go through, and voice rest, which you know for Dick Vitale had to be very hard. 82 years old, cancer-free. I really hope Dick comes back next year. I hope he comes back for a few more years and does games. But truly, I hope next year is a banner year for him. I hope they put him on some good games. I hope his voice is as strong as ever. But that was really good news. Then today, I saw a guy that many of you will know that I hadn't seen in years. In fact, I hadn't seen him in 17 years. 17 years ago, the voice of the Redbirds. He was the play-by-play voice of the Showboats. He did a little stint with Ole Miss. Tom Stocker in town on his way on a vacation. He's been living in northwest Wisconsin, just south of Duluth for several years now. And I don't think he's had a vacation. He said in 8 years. But he and his wife Betsy, they're on their way. They stopped off to see our friends at Gibson Donuts. How can you not go? If you're coming through Memphis, you got to stop off at Gibson Donuts, right? Got to get it glazed, or my favorite, the apple fritter. Got to do that. And heck, he came in and just we reminisced. We didn't have a whole lot of time, but we reminisced a little bit. And, he's now retired, but he does some part-time play-by-play still with high school ball. Great voice, still has those pipes. Just great to see Tom Stocker in town. Safe travels, my friend, if you are listening right now. And, he says he's going to get back to town a little bit more often, but that was a lot of fun. A bit of a sad news and surprising news. It's another Memphis story. I really did not think that Rodney Hamilton would leave. I thought Rodney would become an assistant coach and leave operations and become an assistant coach for the Tigers this past year, because he did this next year, because this past year he did a great job of filling in for Rasheed Wallace when Wallace was basically – he made the decision not to come back, but he made that decision, I think, personally, because he wasn't vaccinated. And after the issues with the University of Tennessee in December, that was the smart way to go. And if he wanted to take his stand, I understand that, personal opinion, whatever it may be, but you had to protect the program, and so he got he became a consultant. And I thought Rodney Hamilton did a heck of a job. Rodney Hamilton has gotten the job as the associate head coach at Northwestern State. That's the school in the Louisiana system that is in Nacogdoches, Louisiana. What was that? Was that always Northwestern State? Like Southwestern Louisiana is now, I think, Louisiana, right?
I believe, as far back as I can remember, which is not very far, but I had a buddy that transferred out of Texas Tech and went to play basketball at Northwestern State. So as far back as like 2013, 2014,
I think it was just originally there was Southwestern Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, and there was Northwestern Louisiana. Now they're Northwestern State.
I see.
So I think that's it. They're in the Southland Conference. They did not have a great year last year, 11-18. They were fifth in the Southland. But Rodney Hamilton will help them. And he really is a positive light. That's what way I would best describe him. Works his tail off, organized, friendly as could be, always positive, would do any job Penny asked him to do. And like I say, I thought as long as Penny was here, Rodney would be on the squad. But he was one of the original staff members, Rodney was. But Rodney had a chance to be an associate head coach. He still wants to be a head coach at the collegiate level. He must have figured this was his best opportunity to spread his wings and maybe spring forth in a few years and become that head coach. So we only wish Rodney Hamilton the very, very best. Do you know this weekend the USFL kicks off?
Oh, I've been so excited for this league. I think it's real. I know we're not Birmingham, but I think it's really cool if you're a citizen of Birmingham or want to go on vacation there that you get to watch all these football games lined up back to back to back to back. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. A great idea.
You think it'll draw? You think the folks in Birmingham are going to come out? For instance, Michigan should be Memphis's team, the Panthers, because there are no showboats, okay? And I think a lot of the original teams are suing the USFL for using their names without permission. They just said we're going to be the USFL. We're going to start being the Michigan Panthers and the Tampa Bay Rowdies, or not Rowdies, whatever the Tampa Bay. What were they? I know there was the San Antonio Gunslingers, and it was Steve Spurrier's team. What the heck was
the Bandits?
Oh, the Bandits.
Okay,
there you go, Tampa Bay Bandits. So they just said, you know what, we're going to be that. And they didn't, from what I'm told, they didn't ask permission of those that own the rights to those names. And so there could be a lawsuit. I don't know for sure. But we should be Michigan Panther fans here in Memphis because Joey Magnifico is going to play. He's the tight end for that team. And you know who the quarterback is? Or at least I think he's in the mix. He's trying to become their quarterback.
I can't remember, but I know it's somebody that has a tie here somehow.
Big tie. He actually, when Joey was very early on in his career, I think, he threw more to Alan Cross, but he did throw to Joey Magnifico. That would be Paxton Lynch.
Oh, that's right. And Shea Patterson, I'm seeing, is also on that team. So
that's
two
right.
local guys.
So you got an Ole Miss guy in there as well. So who do they have a depth chart on that? See who is the starter? Is it Patterson or Lynch?
I believe it's Paxton. He's listed first, so that's what I'm going by. And Shea Patterson wears a lower number, so if he's listed first, he might be the starting quarterback.
I would have to think he is. Although L becomes
that's true.
In alphabetical order, L is before P.
A good point.
So I don't know, but what a journey for Paxton Lynch.
Seriously,
I wonder if he still has the same agent, who was and that guy, his name escapes me at the moment, but he gets all the big quarterbacks. He still does. He was so pro Paxton Lynch. I wonder where his stand is now. But Paxton, didn't work at Denver, didn't work in Pittsburgh. He was for 5 years, I think, was in the CFL, somebody was saying. It's hard. I can't believe it's 5 years.
Really? 5 years? That doesn't seem like he's been in the NFL that long even.
Well, I'm trying to think of he obviously he was here for most of
so since 2019
Justin Fuente. So is that when he was drafted in 2014? So that's 7 years ago.
He was drafted in 2016. His first year was first round in 2016.
There's no way. That's 6 years ago. So there's no way he spent that long in the CFL.
It looks like
I must have read that wrong.
It looks like it's only since 2019 he's been. And his last NFL contract was 2019 with the Steelers, and since then it looks like Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
So he was there for a year or two, basically, is the way it looks. And now he's with the Michigan Panthers, even though they're all in Birmingham. I have heard that Memphis had a shot at being that host city. And I don't know that Memphis was that interested. Maybe they looked at the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium and didn't think that was quite up to snuff for them because all these games are going to be on TV. And the press box is the one area of the stadium that is the worst.
It might come down to honestly, because Legion Field, I think, is worse. Certainly no better than.
No, they're not playing in Legion Field.
They're playing both stadiums. So they're doing some games in the new UAB football stadium and some in Legion Field to kind of split them up.
I thought Legion Field was condemned.
No, from everything I see here, it looks like they're going to play in both. They can go two spots.
Their press box is pretty good, and I don't think they care about the fans because that stadium is decrepit.
Yeah, it's certainly falling apart.
It is. So,
but the last, what was it? I guess it's the XFL that Memphis had a team. The Express, was that the XFL? No, that was the AAF. So Birmingham had a team in the AAF that actually drew pretty well. I believe it drew the best in the league, which could have been a big factor.
Well, so they drew 2,000?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's hard to compare.
I don't believe that was a great draw. But anyway, I sort of think spring leagues are doomed unless they are going to end up like the XFL, the new XFL that's owned by The Rock.
He did an interview earlier this week about that.
Did he? So that is going to be, I think, in the end, there will be some supplementing of funds from the NFL because they're going to become an NFL experimental team, a league. They're going to do different rules and try different things. And, so maybe that's got a chance at working. I just think, and I've said this before, and I wouldn't have believed it. And you have to understand, when the USFL first began, the network ESPN didn't have a football entity. So they were able to, in the spring, really do a good job of promoting that league and putting a lot of attention on it. And they were a network that was on the rise, and people were attracted to just all sports first time. That came into play, and I don't think we had the NFL Network yet. There wasn't the proliferation of 12 months a year, 365 NFL talk. So I think now we have seasons for a reason. I think there needs to be a rest. I think from February until camps open in July, really March, June, July, 3 months, I think you need to be away from the sport. It needs to breathe a little bit. That's why we go from season to season to season. And I don't think these spring leagues are going to make it. I'll be interested in seeing, because I do think I have no problem with Birmingham getting it. I understand why they're doing it this first year. I don't think they could get all the leases they needed done and everything else that goes into having your city have a team. I do believe their quest is to be in those cities next year. We'll see. I'm of the belief, though, this is strictly a television league. They don't care if people are in the stands. They want some TV ratings so they can sell product. That's the whole point of it. You know who the coach of the Michigan Panthers is, with Paxton Lynch, Shea Patterson, and with Joey Magnifico?
I forget. No, Skip Holtz is a coach of somebody, but it's not Michigan, is it?
No. This guy is pretty well known. This guy was a great player in the National Football League. This guy was a great defensive coordinator, and then he became a coach of a team you know very well.
It's Jeff Fisher.
It's Jeff Fisher. It's exactly right.
What a legend.
We should be pulling for this team.
He's going to go.
We should be Panther fans.
He's going to go 500 though. Well, I'm afraid.
You think so?
He's a 500 coach. Is what he does.
Well, maybe that's it. All right. Before we run out of time, let's. Oh, we got to mention Topgolf is coming. That is a done deal. Voted in. Everything else, and I think it's going to be like. It's going to be the regular Topgolf, but there's going to be other things with this because their guy is saying. This is a jazzed up version of Topgolf. They've been looking for the right place to do this thing. That's why it took so long, they're saying, to come to Memphis. And it's going to have some parts, apparently, that other Topgolf does not have. They think it's going to be a regional draw. I don't know. I don't know what all the plans are, but it'll be interesting to watch. But that little chip that was on my shoulder about never having Topgolf here, and cities like Birmingham had it, I think Tulsa had it, and we didn't. That made me a little upset. But now we got it, and apparently we got a jazzed up version. So we'll see how that all works out. Oh! Did you see the Tom Brady final touchdown? Catch, pass, football that was auctioned off for $513,000, and then he unretired. So it's no longer the final one. The people that sold the ball, the auction people, and the guy that bought it, all agreed deal's off.
Good deal. That's nice for everybody.
Yeah. And you'll be sad about this. One last note, and then we got to sort of break down the Grizz and the Wolves, which Andy Shipman will break down even better for us. But I think since it's tomorrow, we sort of touched on this before. I want to do it again, though. Mike Bossy. You know who Mike Bossy is?
I don't.
You don't?
I do not know.
See,
Mike
I thought
Bossy.
you would have known this for sure because you love hockey.
I do like I fake it pretty well.
Oh, there was a great New York Islanders era in the 80s. And Mike Bossy was, I believe, the captain of that team. They won 4 Stanley Cup champions. He was amazing. He was a goal scorer. He had his first 9 years in the league, he scored 50 goals every year. He's originally from Montreal. He ended up working, I think, either TV or radio in Montreal for the last 10 years, and I may be making that up. But really an ambassador of the game. And he passed away from lung cancer at the age of 65. So saddened by one of the really true greats of the game, 4-time Stanley Cup champion Mike Bossy has passed away. All right, so tomorrow, 2:30 at FedEx Forum. It's the Grizz, it's the Wolves. And the way I see these matchups, you tell me differently. The key one that everybody's going to be watching because it's the superstar against the super irritator. That is John Morant and Patrick Beverley. That's how they match up, isn't it? And that's the way it's worked before.
I think so. They're going to have to find a way to hide, someplace to kind of hide D'Angelo Russell, I think, on defense. And I would imagine that Patrick Beverley's pretty much in the grill of Ja the entire game.
Well, I think D'Angelo Russell and Desmond Bane are going to be the matchup.
Desmond Bane can score a lot, I think, on D'Angelo Russell.
I think he can, but Russell has scored, so it'll be on Bane, who's not a bad defensive player. It'll be on Bane to sort of neutralize D'Angelo Russell, who's averaged 30 points a game in this series. Now, I think it'll be Bane on Russell because I think the best defender on the perimeter on the Memphis team and one of the better perimeter defenders, I think, in the entire league is Dylan Brooks. He's got Anthony Edwards, doesn't he?
I would think so, too. I also think, I think the Grizzlies and the T-Wolves, for that matter, can do a little bit of switching in that regard, too, so they can change up how they're guarding things, I think.
Triple J on Karl Anthony Towns?
I think that has to be what it is, because, Jared Vanderbilt is so physical. I think that's better suited for Steven Adams.
I agree. And, Steven Adams and Vanderbilt, that's your final thing. I think the Grizzlies' bench is deeper. That's why I think the Grizzlies win in 6. I don't know that there's a player as good as Tyus Jones or as good as DeAnthony Melton on the Minnesota bench.
I agree. They had 3 guys play in the 20-minute range. Naz Reid, he's a good player, but, like you said, not as good as some of the Grizzlies bench players. Malik Beasley, who's a really good player. And then Jaden McDaniels played 22 minutes as well. But I agree. You go through this bench, and I've said a lot. I think the Grizzlies bench plays a lot better than what it would seem to. And certainly looking at these guys, I think they win the bench matchup for sure.
Well, you know what? I think Melton and if you're going to neutralize somebody, that would be Beasley. And I think Melton's better than Beasley because he does more, and he's a better defensive player when he decides he's going to play defense. And there's clearly not a better backup point guard in the league than Tyus Jones.
That's what I was about to say.
I think you got to give the edge on the bench to Memphis, and that's why, because it's pretty close talent-wise when you look at starting lineups and how these matchups will go. And I think the Grizzlies share the ball a little bit better. They play smarter than Minnesota. That's why I think it's Memphis in 6. We are busy today. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, if you're looking for a new career path, here's your place. This is a great company, great people that run it, family-oriented atmosphere inside the place. It's perfectly called Family Leisure. And they've got openings for sales in so many departments, technicians, outdoor installers, you name it. You got a chance to make good money and get a new start if that's what you're looking for. Family Leisure. Just go see him at I-40 and Whidden Road. Our title sponsor, that's Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai, where you'll never pay more than sticker price on any new car. It's the law of supply and demand. Other dealerships aren't living up to that deal. But at Homer Skelton Hyundai, at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road, the first exit in Mississippi, that's what they go by. They take care of you. They raise the bar, and you'll never pay more than sticker price at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We pause for a second. When we come back, we will talk some Tigers. We will talk this new legislation. We'll find out why Jason Munz is so high on Kendrick Davis coming to Memphis. Is that really the truth? Stick around. This is Wolo and Friends.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hey everybody, Chevy Truck Month is rolling in Olive Branch. I'm out here at All-Star Chevrolet looking at every new and certified Silverado truck you could want. Crew cabs, double cabs, 4x4s, high country. 0% financing is available and your good credit deserves it. You can even get $1,000 allowance for accessories or get bonus cash. Kevin and Jeff are killing it right now getting all new 2022 Equinox SUVs to Olive Branch where you could drive one today. Really affordable new Chevy SUVs. If you want to pre-order, Kevin or Jeff can show you all the new Chevys in the pipeline. So go to allstarautogroup.com and check out hundreds of certified and pre-owned right here, right now. If you want to sell your car, the go-to place to sell any car or truck for some crazy good money is here at All Star Chevrolet. Get a check today, and you don't even have to buy one of theirs. Just bring it on, even if you owe money on it. Remember, it's not South Haven, not the Pike, not Collierville, Bartlett, or Mount Moriah. It's got to be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to All Star Chevrolet or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It is Good Friday. Easter's on Sunday. It is the first night of Passover, and I know both of those celebrations require good wine, good spirits. You got to go to the spirit shop, so go see my friend Eddie Connor at the Poplar and St. Nick corner, that little log cabin. You've passed it by. It's 4848 Poplar. You're coming down from Clark Tower. You've seen it inside. They have all the premium spirits you could want. I'm talking rare bourbons, great vodka, you name it, or the up-and-comers, same thing with wine. You want to find out what the next cornerstone may be? Eddie Connor and his family will tell you. Owned and operated since '69. Best prices, best service, I promise. Go see Eddie and the crew. That is the Spirit Shop. Eddie, by the way, was out cooking last night at the softball game for all the athletes. He, Rob Check from Supercuts, good people, they basically volunteered their time to go out and feed the Memphis student athletes right before the women's softball game. Great stuff. They're good people. Go and really for yourself, but it's good support of good people. Go see my friends at the Spirit Shop. Jason Munns did a great job of breaking a wonderful story for Memphis fans. We'll talk with the Commercial Appeal Tiger beat writer in a second. He's brought to you in part by Miramichi. It's Friday, right? You know what that means? You get the best rates. I think one of the great golf courses, well, I'm not the only one. Golf Week said it a couple of years ago. It's one of the best places you can play golf in the state of Tennessee. Miramichi in Woodstock, about 12 minutes north of downtown Memphis. 330 acres of beauty. 7,400 yards of championship golf. If you want to play it that hard, you can go up. There's 5 different tee boxes with which you can choose. The terrace that they have, woo, baby, the best view in all of Memphis. Full-service bar out there. There's food, the best view, and they got TVs up there. You can watch all the sports you want, and there'll be some entertainment on the weekends as well. And today, you can play for under $50, and that includes the cart and the complimentary range balls. Tomorrow and Sunday, as low as $55. The best golf. Not a secret anymore. It's just a terrific place. Miramichi, that's where you need to go. Jason Munns joins us now. He wrote the story and is quoting a lawyer, I think, is it from Atlanta, Jason, where you learned about this new legislation that will go into effect in the NCAA starting August the 1st, which basically states we're not punishing teams with new players. So the school is not going to suffer And like at NC State, precedent set, you're not going to see postseason bans going forward. At least that is appears to be what's going on. You tell me.
Well, I would say they're not exactly going so far as to say for sure no postseason bans. I'll read it to you. It's Article 4, Section B, subsection 4, and it says division and, as appropriate, conference regulations must ensure to the greatest extent possible that penalties imposed for infractions do not punish programs or student athletes not involved nor implicated in the infraction. So it's by including that little bit in there, to the greatest extent possible, they're giving themselves a little wiggle room. I think that to me says that that's not them coming out and saying absolutely no more postseason bans. I think postseason bans are still on the table, given whatever circumstances a given school may be looking at. And we could get into the weeds here. There's level 1, there's level 2, there's
right.
level 3, level 4 violations, and Memphis is facing 6 level 1 and level 2, which are the most severe. It after that, then it boils down to are they aggravated violations? Are they standard violations, or are they mitigated violations? Aggravated being the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the panel has to decide. They have to decide whether these violations, are violations at all.
Right, because Memphis is saying they're not.
Correct. Or they're saying they're not. They don't rise to the level of level 1.
So let's just clarify for 1 second. If you look at the verbiage of the legislation that goes into effect August 1st, and if you look at precedent that this committee's already decided, NC State, and I don't know if they were aggravated, mitigated, stipulated, whatever the adjective is for the level 1, but I know that NC State had one more level 1 charge than Memphis does right now. They did not get postseason ban. So based on the verbiage of the new legislation and based on precedent already set by NC State, one would have to conclude, and I may be half full when I say this, but one would conclude Memphis is most likely not going to get postseason ban.
There definitely seems to be a sentiment, a growing sentiment that, and not just Memphis, that anybody from here on out would receive that they wouldn't receive a postseason ban. And that's part of what I talked to this lawyer. His name's Stu Brown. He's based in Atlanta, and he's been dealing with infractions cases for the last 20 plus years. For instance, he represented Donnie Tyndall when he got in big trouble for what he did at the University of Southern Mississippi, which I covered when I was in Hattiesburg. And anyway, he represented him back in the day, and he's also in some shape or form associated with and involved in 4 of the 6 current IARP cases. Memphis is not one of them. He told me that straight off the top. He was like, "I wouldn't be talking to you if I was involved in the Memphis case." But he's involved in multiple others, so he's very familiar with the process and how those are being handled. And what he said that I thought was very interesting is that had this case or any case that's being currently adjudicated, had it gone through the infractions process 3 years ago, even just 3 years ago, then the outcomes would probably look a lot different. But he called it the players' rights revolution. We're seeing it with the NIL stuff. We're seeing it with the transfer portal. Players are the players' ability to get up to $6,000 per season for academic bonuses. And I'll read you the rest of his quote. He said, "There's been a simultaneous push to not punish innocent student athletes for infractions which occurred before they arrived at an institution." So it just appears, all this talk when the Memphis case, went public, when the investigation began, all this talk that maybe the NCAA is like not going to be as harsh as they have in the past because, the players are getting more power and they're coming, the PR, it's been a PR nightmare for the NCAA over the last couple of years. There might actually be something to that.
As I think about it, the only players that would have been here when Wiseman, which is where all this trouble began, when he played, would be Harris and Lomax, right? I don't think Nolly, who's not going to be with the team, or Williams, who we don't know if will be with the team. I do believe Quinones, who at the moment is checking out his NBA eligibility, he was with the team. That would be it, though, wouldn't it?
And then one more, Malcolm Dandridge.
Oh, Malcolm Dandridge. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. That's
and
it.
Then
though.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Jaden's here, but he's not on scholarship. So
all right, let me, because I'm going to run out of time and I got so much to talk with you about. Let me ask you how you've arrived at this. You've got this confidence level on transfer portal movement, and I'm assuming, because you've never said that I could read that it's 1 to 10, but I'm assuming that's it. And,
I should have done that. Yeah.
And I don't know how you got to, but I love that you got to it. The Kendrick Davis, the number one player in the transfer portal, you've got a 9 confidence level that he's coming to Memphis. How have you arrived at that, Jason Munz?
Well, it's part of my job to talk to people and get insight and glean nuggets from people. And, I've had multiple conversations with multiple people, dating back quite a ways. This has sort of been in the works, or at least I wouldn't say it's been in the works. I would say it's been, there's been some people crossing their fingers and feeling good about this situation for relatively speaking, a good amount of time. So,
and if I could add, I actually heard this weeks before Jankovic was let go.
Yeah. So, it's just one of those things where, you develop strong relationships and I didn't just pick it out of thin air. I feel good about it, and I know a lot of other people do too.
Well, the great aspect of that is now, with this new news that you came out with this new legislation and the new constitution of the NCAA, and they're veering away from postseason bans. I mean, it sure does open the door for Penny to be able to say to a transfer portal guy, "Hey, you can come here and still play in the NCAA tournament."
Yeah, I mean, you could say if you were Penny Hardaway, you could certainly say that. I would think that he's. I mean, who knows what he's telling him? But I do know that he has, his representation that's also very close to the situation, and not only that, but also folks around the university who feel a certain way about how it's all going to play out, and I'm sure they're all kind of, drawing their own conclusions and relaying that to the recruits. And so, I mean, I don't know that Memphis or Penny Hardaway needed my story to come out to provide any more ammunition for their recruiting efforts, but. I was going to write the story one way or the other because, again, it's something that's being talked about a lot, and I don't think that I think it's pretty interesting to hear all these people because Stu Brown wasn't the only person I talked to. I also pulled some quotes from an interview that Pat Forty gave on with Greg and Eli last week.
Exactly.
And, he didn't say anything definitive one way or the other, but he said, the possibility of avoiding a postseason ban is very real. And, so it's interesting. But I don't know if you saw, but Kendrick Davis is actually on campus today in Memphis. He's on his official visit. After I spoke with you earlier this morning, that news came out pretty soon after that. So wheels are turning.
Welcome to town, Kendrick Davis. What about Larry Brown? He, I would have assumed, was involved in the initial recruitment after Davis entered the transfer portal and left TCU. I would have to think Larry Brown was involved in that recruitment because I think he was still there at that point in time. What is the future of Brown with the U of M? We saw Rodney Hamilton leave, and I was shocked at that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Rodney, and I know there are some people who are like, well, everybody's leaving. It's doom and gloom. Well, that's not exactly, the case. Cody Toppert left for a Power 5 job, even though LSU's got their own issues. They're starting fresh down there, and obviously he wasn't a part of it. And again, it was also probably time for him. He was going to be going into his fourth year here. And, he's a guy with high aspirations. And so to do that, you got to sort of, move around. And the same goes for Rodney Hamilton. I mean, he's been itching to get back on the bench as in an official capacity as an assistant coach. And that opportunity wasn't presenting itself at Memphis. And so he got an opportunity to get back to what he's done before, and he took it. And so anyway, about Larry, I texted with him before the national championship game and asked him, what the situation is, if he's going to be back next season. And his response was just very simple. It was, quote, ask coach. And I thought, I was like, fair enough. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I do know that he, with the new signee, Elijah McCadden, the Sunbelt Sixth Man of the Year that just signed yesterday, officially signed yesterday. I talked to him earlier this week, and he told me that he, when he came on his visit last weekend, he met everybody on staff, with the exception of Larry Brown, who was not in town, but he spoke to him on the phone. So take that for what it's worth. I've talked to people close to Coach Brown who've told me that, they don't know for sure one way or the other whether he's going to be back or not, but their hunch is that the way it was put to me was I think he just needs a vacation. So
I know you've heard rumors, Chauncey Billups, his former players, the head coach at Portland, that there could be an NBA option. I for one, truly hope he comes back. Last thing for Jason Munns, the terrific commercial appeal beat writer of the Memphis Tigers, and that is, you were so confident about Kendrick Davis. Is there any other player in the portal right now that you feel that strongly about ending up in Memphis?
There are some other names. Janai Broom is a 6'10" guy from Morehead State. A lot of the big schools are after him.
He's got there's a list of 8, and every one of them is a huge school, including Memphis.
Yeah, exactly. I do know that there has been some level of, recruitment there. And he just released his top 8. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and Memphis is in there. So, I would not close the door on him. Illinois State has a guy. His name is escaping. It's Antonio Reeves Jr. I think he averaged like 18 to 19, 20 points a game, something like that last year.
In the Valley.
He's another guy who a lot of people are after. But I included him in my story where with my fancy schmancy confidence level ratings, I included him in there toward the bottom, but I think that one is moving in a positive direction, for the Tigers.
All right. Well, we'll readdress all this stuff next Friday. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, Wolo.
Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He is brought to you in part by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. If you hear somebody on the golf course yelling 4, that could be any public golf course. That could be Miramichi. You know it's going to be him. He's the worst golfer in town. Well, he says he is. He's also known as Mr. Three-Putt, Mr. Double Bogey, Mr. Separate Checks. But what he is a guy who really knows his business. He doesn't spend time practicing his golf game. He spends time representing clients, selling their homes for the best prices. He's got the best marketing strategy there is. So successful, people say, when you want the job done, you call Sheldon. He's the only agent in town I know. He says, interview 2 to 3 real estate guys, and then make sure you interview me. And then we'll put it on the market, and you will sell your house. He'll guide you about what you can do with your prices and everything else. And don't forget the Shell Bucks. He is your bottom line guy. When you want the job done, call Sheldon 483-0546. And this portion of our show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the tune-up. You got to have the tune-up twice a year. That's the key. $69. Your system lasts longer. Your bills from MLGW bill goes down. It does, I promise you, because your system is efficient and your house is cooler and you'll need it. All you got to do is call 384-3511. Tell them we sent you. That's Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We take the quick pause. When we come back to Chicago, we go. Our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, is next.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
One historic game, a prime-time event. Saturday. USFL makes history with a special opening night as the Birmingham Stallions open the season against the New Jersey Generals. Live on Fox and NBC. The biggest game. USFL kicks off Saturday, 7:30 Eastern on Fox and NBC.
Hi, folks. Matt Burkham for Sunrise Chevy. Good news for new and used car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks, and Sunrise specializes in low monthly payments and secondary financing. At sunrisememphis.com, you can select your vehicle, get your trade appraised, arrange financing and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep, inspected and ready to go, no matter what your past credit. Sunrise wants to get you financed. Immediate financing with next to nothing down. Need body or service work? Bring it to Sunrise or schedule an appointment online. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy, 385 in Houston, Levy, Collierville.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Can't wait for tonight. Atlanta at Cleveland, New Orleans at the Clippers, and then tomorrow the playoffs begin. The play-in ends tonight. To Chicago we go. Our NBA expert, our agent, Andy Schiffman, joins us now. Let's start with a breakdown of the Grizz and the Timberwolves. We've sort of done that earlier, Andy. We think Memphis and Minnesota very close, but the Grizzlies have the better bench for sure. We think that series ends with a Memphis win in 6 or 7. What do you think?
No, look, I'd agree. I've said for weeks now, right, Dave, that I think Minnesota's a very dangerous team. I think they really showed that in the final quarter of the Clippers game the other night, especially in a game where Karl Anthony really didn't do a whole lot. He ended up fouling out. A guy like Anthony Edwards obviously stepped up big time. I think Malik Beasley is a great weapon for them off the bench. For sure, the Grizzlies have more depth, and I am definitely picking the Grizzlies in this series, but I do not think it will go 4 games. I think it could be Grizzlies in 6.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will go 7. I don't know if the Timberwolves really have that in the tank to stretch it out for a full 7 games, especially in FedEx Forum with that home court advantage Memphis can have. But it's not going to be a walk in the park for the Grizzlies in a typical 2-7 matchup where it's just going to be breezy for them.
You mentioned Karl Anthony Towns, and he fouled out of the game, didn't play very well. They played better without him in the lineup. Seems to me this is becoming Anthony Edwards. I know it's hard for me to say this, but it's becoming Anthony Edwards' team.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily say that, but I think he's stepping up as a co-star with Karl Anthony Towns. I still think it's Karl Anthony's team. But you've got Anthony Edwards. You got a great game from D'Angelo Russell. People forget about D'Angelo Russell. Yeah. He is still an elite level guard in this league. And then defensively, obviously, you've got Pat Beverly. Malik Beasley is capable of going out there, coming off the bench, and knocking down 4 or 5 threes at a time. He can get hot fast, just like the Grizzlies have in Desmond Bane. So I'd give the edge to Memphis. But Karl Anthony, I still think he's the leader of this team. But if they continue to keep this core of Anthony and Karl Anthony Towns and Russell together, and they've got a great defensive presence in Pat Beverly, and they draft well, and maybe they go out and sign 1 or 2 key pieces in free agency, they're going to continue to get better and really follow the blueprint of what the Grizzlies have done in the last 2 to 3 seasons.
I think that's spot on. I'm really looking forward to the Morant-Beverly matchup. Beverly borders on dirty. I think that's a fair thing to say. He tries to get inside your head. I think that Ja is really mentally tough. I don't think he can get to him. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch that matchup.
He's got to try and get Beverly in early foul trouble, and I think that's possible. I do. For as good as Pat Beverly is defensively, I think Ja is just better offensively. So if he can get him in foul trouble early, then he's going to have his way with him.
All right, let's shift over to some other series because there are so many great ones. And let's start with Denver and the MVP and Jokic against Golden State, who's finally, it seems, healthy.
Well, I think – yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just you paused there for a second, so I wasn't sure we still had you. But the Warriors are finally healthy. I mean, they got their full lineup here, and yet Denver is so dangerous, and they appear to be getting healthier.
Yeah, Denver. Do not sleep on Denver. I think if they were really fully healthy all year, they could have been a top 4 team in the West, potentially overtaking. I don't know if they would overtake Golden State, but I would put them over Dallas. I'd put them over Utah, who got that 5th seed. With MVP candidate Jokic, I think they're really stacked, and I think they could give Golden State problems. And yes, Golden State is finally healthy, and I think Steph Curry obviously is see how he comes back once he is, where he's at physically. Because keep in mind, he's obviously been out for quite a while, for a few weeks now, obviously. So I think that's going to be a tough matchup. I think Denver could absolutely come away with a series win. I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, I'm picking Denver, but I'm not going to be surprised if Denver upsets Golden State. I really am not.
But you are picking Golden State in this series.
I'm going to go ahead and say Golden State in 6. That's my prediction. Okay. Golden State in 6. But do not sleep on Denver. And I think, out of Utah, out of even Dallas, you talk about seeds 4 through 7 or 8. Once the 8 seeds decided between the Clippers and Pelicans, I think Denver has the most likely shot at a first-round, quote-unquote, upset, and a team that is capable of going. I don't necessarily put them in the Western Conference Finals, but maybe getting to the second round and really competing in that second round.
Well, I share that assessment. Honestly, I think if we're being or trying to be objective, I think Utah, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Memphis, and the Timberwolves, all of those teams could get to the Western Conference Finals. I really believe that's fair. I do think that the higher seeds are going to end up winning, but it's so darn even. Now let's go to the East for a second. The Milwaukee Bucks basically gave up their position so they could avoid the Brooklyn Nets. So Boston's got them. What a series Brooklyn and Boston's going to be.
Yeah. I think that could be the best series in the East the entire playoffs. Yeah, you talk about even the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, that is a series you'd want to see happen later in April, early May when you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and you're talking about a first-round matchup. So that's going to be must-see basketball. I'm really excited for that. The Bucks are playing the Bulls here in Chicago. The sentiment here is they're kind of already writing off the Bulls and know it's going to be very difficult to try and beat the defending champs. Yeah. And I agree. Yep, I agree. I think Boston is a very dangerous team. Look, Milwaukee's the defending champs, obviously, but do they have enough to roll over Boston and Miami? And I'm a big Miami Heat fan. I think they're so well coached and very sound defensively. But you talk about it, Dave. Man, those first 4 seeds in the East, I mean, you may as well just flip a coin to take any one of them. Right. Because any one of those not only could – look, I think you are going to see one of those 4 make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And even as good as Brooklyn is when they're healthy, I still pick one of those 4 to match up with someone else. And I think you could talk, you're looking at potentially an NBA champion out of those 4, one of any of those 4. And even if you put Memphis or Phoenix in the finals, I just really think that one of the Sixers, the Bucks, the Heat, the Celtics, I think they're going to come out and win a title, one of those 4 teams.
All right, real quick, who do you like, Utah, Dallas?
Dallas. I'm not a believer in Utah. I was early in the season. I think Dallas has come on strong lately. I love watching Luka. I'm going to take Dallas in that one.
I just don't know. I think that's going to be a great series, too. As always, we appreciate it. We'll know a little bit more when we talk next Friday. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
That's our agent in Chicago, our NBA expert, Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by Poppy's Pills. That's the Pilsner that everybody loves. Light, crisp, and refreshing. Ultra crushable. Made right here in Memphis. It's available in 6-packs or 15-packs. Ask your favorite retailer about it. And my advice to you, it is best enjoyed ice cold. It's another hit from Grind City, that great Memphis brewery. You get a little bit of Memphis, and you're getting a Pilsner now that people are talking about. I am talking Poppy's Pills will surprise you. If I absolutely quote other people, the thing is, remember how Taco Bell stopped selling the Mexican pizza and everyone lost their minds? Poppy Pilsner is the only thing that can ease that broken heart. Goes great with stuff that's hot. Poppy's Pilsner. Poppy's Pills. That's simple. It's from Grind City. It will make your weekend. We thank Jason Munz and Andy Schiffman. Don't forget J-Mo and Bryant. They come your way in just a second. Enjoy Easter. Enjoy Passover. Have a great weekend, everybody.
I know the sweetest thing